Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leave on a levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboys Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's stream. We've got Monday Night Football action coming at you. Divisional game, Eagles, Cowboys, big rivalry, exciting quarterbacks, exciting offenses in general. And I am excited for the game.
Nick's quarterback crush, Jalen Hurts.
Is Jalen Hurts, he's not like my main quarterback crush.
Yeah, he's your side piece behind Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is definitely my side piece.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We love and respect our side pieces just as much as we do our primary hosts. Yeah. Anyways, Ben, you excited for this game?
I am. I think this is a fun one.
I think this is a fun one too.
I think the jury is already out on. Well, I'll put it this way. If you ask most people if they think the Cowboys are a contender this year, I think most say yes. And if you ask the same about the Eagles, I think it's pretty split.
Yeah, I think that these are two teams with a lot of upside that... I mean, yeah, I agree with what you said. I'm not gonna try and restate the wheel. Restate the wheel. What am I on right now? Am I restate the wheel? Am I okay? I don't know.
That doesn't even crack the top 10 stupidest things I've said on this stream. So.
I mean, I don't know if that cracks the top 10 stupidest things that I've said on this stream. We have to start keeping a list. Larry will keep the list for us.
Yeah, Larry keeps us accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the artist, his name is Levi Todd, Colorado guy. So.
Yeah, he's a guy that I think you went to high school with him or something, right?
Actually, I met him through a friend of a friend, but yeah, Denver area. He's good buddies with Christian McCaffrey. They're actually like best buds, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, so by the transitive property, which as we know applies to basically everything in sports, we are also BFFs with Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. There we go. There you have it. You heard it here first. So let's go ahead and hop into the game. So Dallas at home, game being played in Jerry World. Last time I looked, it said Dallas was a 3.5 point favorite. Over under set at 51.5. I think that's still the number that we're seeing.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, actually, I'm looking at BetMGM. It's at a 3 spot.
It's at a 3 spot.
It is.
Really?
And I'm not surprised, Nick. I'm not, just because the Eagles were catching some sharp action. So.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a curse of 3.5s this year, where just minus 3.5 teams are not covering at all.
Yeah. And Nick, a move from 3.5 to 3, pretty significant, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, you move from being on one side of the key number to being just at the key number, right? Yeah. And 3, as we know, is probably the second most common scoring gap in the game. Yeah. Is now a push, which is a really good thing to have on your side if you're betting on Dallas, and a really bad thing to have on your side if you're betting on Philly. Sports handicappers are staying away from this spread, player props, and DFS only. I think that this spread is super, super, super tight. The spread and the total both.
Mm-hmm. Total, for sure. Yeah. Very tight line, divisional game, prime time. Yeah, you're going to get that.
Yeah. So are you buying into this trend that we've seen? Instant response, no, before I even tell you what the trend is.
No. Yeah,
Of prime
small
time
sample size.
overs. I guess we didn't have one on Thursday. But aside from that, I believe every primetime game has gone over this year.
Yeah.
This is something that I know people have been talking about at least a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still. Is there any practicality behind that, or is it coincidence? Right.
I think it's a coincidence. I think it's a massive coincidence.
Nick, what do you always tell me with the coin?
With the coin, so I mean, if the coin has been heads 6 times in a row, does that make it any more likely to be tails the next time?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, and then the question you have to ask, though, is it actually a 50-50 coin, right? Like, if we're rolling dice and not flipping coins, then the odds change.
Weighted.
Is that one book still a sponsor? You need to know if they're getting the unfollow on IG. They are still a sponsor, and actually we have an announcement coming up at some.
Superbook?
Oh, well, actually, that's a good question. What book are you talking about? We have
Superbook,
various
we're
levels.
rocking with Superbook.
Yeah, we have various levels of deals of different kinds with different books.
Yeah.
So we have this Betfred segment on Saturdays because we're good friends with the people at Betfred, especially Jason, who Ben has worked with for years doing all kinds of different stuff. We have like affiliate deals with PointsBet and DraftKings, like promo code type shit. And then Superbook is... Ben, how would you describe the relationship with Superbook?
It's not so much official right now, but I mean they've been very open and knowledgeable to us. Like they're an open book. Like we can get a lot of really good stuff out of them. So they're just cool people. Like if you're thinking about unfollowing Superbook, hell no, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say that.
Yeah, we'll say that. So anyways, regardless of the book, we're looking at a 3 or a 3.5. We're seeing a 3.5 on PointsBet still also seeing a 3.5 on Superbook.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely possible you're seeing 3s in some spots though. So the model has both the spread and the total as a toss-up. We don't see this often, but we're sitting right on the Vegas numbers with the model. It has a spread of Dallas minus like 3.7, I think. So if we're calling the number 3.5, absolutely nothing to go on there. And the total sitting between 51 and 51.5. It's like 51.07. So again, basically nothing to go on there. Technically prefers Dallas, technically prefers the under, but just based on the model, nothing to make action on. Mm-hmm. So Ben, do your leans tonight, if you have any, align with what the model says, or are you going to take the opposite side?
I guess barely, because I like the Cowboys here. But definitely not playing this personally. It's a tight number, like you've alluded to. And the Eagles, I still don't know how good of a team they are, and I'm not willing to risk that because it just seems like such a trap where the Eagles could win this outright, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I like you were saying, I think the Cowboys are a little bit more of a known commodity. Mm-hmm. They've played 2 really good teams already, 2 teams that I would say basically nobody's going to argue that the Chargers and the Buccaneers are better teams than the Eagles. They lost to Tampa by 2 in Tampa, which is a very solid result to have, and they beat the Chargers by 3 points in LA. So neither of those games technically are covers of this minus 3.5 spread. But, I mean, the Eagles are a point to several points worse than those 2 teams as well. So I do think I'm with you. I would lean the Cowboys here. I know it's a minus 191, but I feel like I'd rather take a Cowboys money line and put that, as much as we don't like parlays, I'd rather take that and put it in an SGP with something else than take the minus 3.5. I just think that key number is huge. As far as the total is concerned, though, I do like the under. I feel, I mean, it not so strongly, but I do like the under. I think that the way that Philly has played, they've prevented big plays, especially against a couple offenses that have big play potential. San Francisco with Jimmy Garoppolo, some good receivers. George Kittle did basically nothing against Philly. I think the longest play that San Francisco had was 40 yards, and after that, it was another 15 or 20 yards below that. And against Atlanta, against a really solid Falcons offense, or occasionally solid Falcons offense, maybe we have to say now after last week. But again, they held them to 6 points, no big plays. It was a grindy type of game. And I think that with the way that Dallas played against the Chargers last week, another defense that's good at not allowing huge plays, I could definitely see this ending up in a similar situation to what we've seen in the Eagles games and what we saw last week with Dallas.
Mm-hmm. I'm so on the fence with this one. I've gone back and forth about 4 or 5 times just today on what I was going to say. And gun to my head, I lean under.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add these in as our leans. Again, remember, these are extremely slight leans, slimmest of margins. But we're going to take Dallas, and we're going to take the under. And that's that. Keats says Cowboys money line Jalen Hurts over 199.5, minus 105.
We'll get to that.
That we will. We're gonna get to that pretty damn soon, actually. So let's take a look at the passing yards market, or the quarterback markets. So Jalen Hurts sitting at over under 250.5. Dak Prescott sitting at over under 299.5. And one thing I want to say real quick is I noticed this with the model with Jalen Hurts. It's undervaluing his rushing and thinks he's going to be throwing it a little bit more. And the reason for that is all of the games early last year where he just showed up for a couple plays. It's docking him carry percentage for that. So it's overvaluing Hurts passing and undervaluing his rushing. I think we can strip probably even 50, maybe not 50, but 30 or so yards off his passing and tack it onto his rushing. That being said, do you have any thoughts on either of these?
Dak's number seems high at first, but then I have to remember that this isn't the Cowboys team of like 2 years ago, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
they're not looking to run Ezekiel Elliott 25, 30 times. They've kind of shifted to a little bit of a passing team with those wideouts. So
yeah, it's a lot of bit of a passing team.
Yeah.
So last week, Dak only had 237 yards through the air. But before that, he had, like 4 or 5 straight starts with 400 plus passing yards? Not just 300 plus, 400.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys do like to pass. That being, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it almost, like they're begging you to take this over, right?
Maybe. So one thing,
his numbers though, right?
yeah. So the one thing that I think is important to note here is the absence of Michael Gallup. Mm-hmm. Right. So the one game that they didn't have that 3-headed monster at wide receiver, which was last week, was finally the week that Dak. I mean, he didn't have a bad passing game. He was 23 of 27. But the yards per completion were eh. So I think part of it might have to do with the fact that they were having so much success on the ground last week. But we did see no Gallup, less balls in the air. I don't think it's a super huge correlation, but something to at least keep an eye on.
Yeah, so for me, kind of lean under here.
It does. Yeah,
It's a lean.
it's a lean. I feel uncomfortable playing this under. It just like makes my spine tingle in a bad way. Not that there's like a good. I guess there's like a good spine tingle.
You can get a good feeling.
You can actually definitely get good spine tingles. Yeah.
Not this. Not here.
No, this is not one of those. So thank you, Mac Drizzy Dre, for the follow. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah, Pollard. That's a great point, but we'll get into that with the rushing. But
Yeah. So what about the Jalen Hurts
Jalen Hurts
passing yards?
So you mentioned that the model probably has this inflated just a tad because of what you said, but is that also due to maybe a little bit of game flow or not as much?
It's definitely at least some game flow. Because if you're losing, you're throwing the ball more. And it has Dallas winning, which means it has the Eagles losing, which means it has Jalen Hurts just inherently throwing the ball a little bit more. I'm working actually on getting this to be broken down so I can look on these streams and say, okay, if the Eagles win, this is what Hurts' line looks like. If the Eagles lose, this is what Hurts' line looks like. So we can really dig into that game flow. We'll have that ready for next week, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an average number across wins and losses. A lot of them are losses. A lot of balls in there.
Is Collins the guy who bribed the drug tester?
Yes, Collins is the guy who bribed the drug tester. That's one of the stupidest things you could ever possibly do.
Yeah. I guess at that point.
Right.
Come on, man.
Come on. That's a come on, man.
Yeah, because not only are you probably going to have a negative drug test, you also just brought that to light, and that's not good. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's had problems before. He was supposed to be a first-round pick and fell all the way out of the draft because of off-the-field concerns.
No, I did not see Pat McAfee's take on it.
It was Pat McAfee. I mean, are we going to take what Pat McAfee says at face value and not as entertainment value? Like, that's speculation and not cold hard facts.
And here we are talking about it.
Well, I mean, I hope that nobody thinks that we know the truth about that at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to move on to rushing props if you are.
You're just gonna ignore. Yeah, I have no lean on Hurts. I probably lean under, but I think it's really game flow dependent.
Mm-hmm.
So on the rushing end of things, we have. That's not what I wanted to do. We have. Where are they at? There they're at. Dak Prescott. Oh, Pat allegedly. We've got Dak Prescott over under 11.5. Ezekiel Elliott over under 61.5. And Tony Pollard over under 34.5 on the Cowboys side of things. What are you laughing at?
It's just wild that Pollard is up there now, and it should be that way.
Yeah, it should be that way.
Like, just imagine, I don't have Ezekiel Elliott on my team, but for fantasy-wise, but got to be a little upset with how things have started.
For sure. So I will say right off the bat, the Eagles' run defense has been pretty good.
Yeah.
Second
best, Nick?
Is it second best? It's too early, I think, to look at like second best defense type things, right? It's small sample size. It's super dependent on who you've played.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at passing. So let's look at rushing. I'm looking at yards per play. At least that's some sort of a benchmark.
Yes, against San Francisco last week. I mean, on the one hand, San Francisco's whole rushing situation last week was a disaster because it was Elijah Mitchell, and then he got hurt, and then Hasty came in, and then he got hurt, and then Mitchell came back, and then he kind of got hurt again, and then Sermon played one play and got a concussion and was out for the game, and then Mitchell came back again, and it was a mess. But
So
they didn't have a lot of success. Long story short, Mitchell, 17 carries, 42 yards. Hasty had success, 5 carries, 38 yards, but 21 of those came on 1 carry. And then Sermon had 1 carry where he got 8 yards and a concussion. But
So
all in all, not
Pollard-
consistent rushing. Yeah.
Pollard 34.5, and then Zeke was at 60 something.
Zeke is at 61.
61. Okay.
So the model for reference has Zeke at 62.7, so basically spot on. Pollard up at 46.88, and it thinks that Pollard, yards per carry wise, is going to be the more effective guy. Which, based on what we've seen in weeks 1 and 2, I have a hard time disagreeing with that.
Yeah, and it's the change of pace I think you have to consider because Ezekiel Elliott's coming down your throat, and then all of a sudden Pollard has a little more speed on the edge. It definitely benefits Pollard. The 1-2 punch definitely is benefiting Pollard more than it is Zeke, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's what we see. Like, right? It's a change of pace because they up the pace, not because they down the pace.
Yeah.
And it's something that defenses have problems with. And we see these guys consistently when they emerge. They low usage, obviously, because they're not number 1 guys. But yards per carry wise, they do extremely well.
And they're fresh too. I mean, they're warming up on the sideline, they're ready to go, and then boom, 5 yards, just like that.
Yeah, exactly. And with this number sitting at 34.5, if he gets, I mean, even 7 or 8 carries, I think this number is looking good.
Yeah.
Model has him at 10 carries. I mean, what's he been at the last 2 weeks? He had only 3 carries, actually, in week 1.
Yeah, week 1 was, I almost want to say, an outlier because of,
Yeah, it's Tampa. You don't run on Tampa.
yeah. But 13,
Yeah, 13 last week.
109 yards. That's wild.
But I mean, I think that 7 or 8 carries is a pretty reasonable estimate for what we're going to see from Pollard. And if he gets, I mean, at 7 carries, he needs 5 yards per carry. That's maybe a little bit much. But if he's up in that 8, 9, 10 carries range, I think this is totally reasonable.
Yeah, 100%. It's my lean there of all those 4.
Yeah, so one that I think is actually kind of interesting is Dak's under. I don't think I'm going to actually end up betting this, but
11.
it's 11.5. But Dak is not really running the ball. Last week against LA, he had no carries.
Oh, and we talked about Philly a tad misleading being 23rd, but I mean, it's a smaller sample size.
Yeah, and you have to
So-
take opponents into account, right? Atlanta's
Right.
not a team that likes to run the ball a whole lot. San Francisco is. Brandon Graham going down is a big loss for Philly, Rendy. That is true.
That is true.
But yeah, I'm probably not going to play this Dak under, but I do lean. I will. I just
Nick,
want to
if
say
you-
it on the
If
record.
you end up playing it,
You know,
people are going to be upset with you.
I'll play it. I'll play it. I'm gonna go bet it right now. Have another tab up so I can place my bets.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah, rushing props, Dak under 11.5. Boom. Your bet is being placed. Done. Okay, there it is. On the Eagles side of things, we have Jalen Hurts over under 40 or 54.5. Miles Sanders over under 60.5. Do you have any thoughts on either of those?
I kind of lean under for both those Eagles.
I disagree on Hurts.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said okay. Sorry. Sanders specifically. Sorry.
Okay, yeah,
I was thinking Scott.
Sanders is okay, yeah. Sanders
Yeah, so
60 and a half. Lean
Yeah,
under.
under there.
I'm
one
with
of my
you.
one of my reasons for that is Kenneth Gainwell. He's been a guy I've been watching and following, and he's just gonna steal some snaps, and he has been. And I think here it's gonna be a very tight number. I think he's gonna get close to 50, and those 2-3 carries additionally, like that we already are gonna expect for Gainwell to get. I think he could potentially get a few more, and that's gonna cost this over here. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a totally reasonable take. So we've seen in the 2 games so far, the running back carry split. Week 1 against Atlanta, it was Miles Sanders with 15, Gainwell with 9. So that means that Gainwell had 40% of the carries, assuming I did that math right. What is 9 divided by 24? Let's see. 37.5%. That's like the same thing. And then last week against San Francisco, Gainwell had 6 out of 19 carries, which is a little under 33%, like 31, 32%. So if the Eagles are coming from behind, they're going to be running the ball a little bit less. So if we're in that 25 carry range again, or if that 20 carry range again for the backs, like it was last week for them against San Francisco, Gainwell vultures enough carries. I agree. For Sanders' yardage number to go under.
And then Boston Scott too. But is he hurt?
Boss, I don't know if he's hurt or not, but he doesn't have any carries. He hasn't played. It's not unusual these days for teams to just rely on 2 backs, especially with the quarterback that runs so much.
That's a very good point.
The 2 backs is enough for them to be fresh the whole time.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks like he's had no snaps. So it's either he's just not playing or he's injured. But yeah, Gainwell creeping up.
Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? It's a high number for a quarterback, but I kind of like the over.
It is a high number. I'm always scared to play high numbers with quarterbacks. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think
balls or something.
I think it's kind of game flow independent, which is what I like about these quarterback rushing props. Right? If the Eagles are winning, it's probably because Hurts is playing really well, which is going to entail him running the ball. And if they're losing, there's going to be soft coverage. They're not going to have a spy on him, and he can get carries late. 2 games this year, Hurts 10 carries for 82 yards, 7 carries for 62 yards. And last year, when these 2 teams, the one time Hurts started against Dallas, he was up in the 60s as well. So I kind of like the Hurts over. It feels like a chalky public type play, but that doesn't make it a bad play. I think that the number is reasonable.
There's more public plays on the board than that because people will look at that and they'll be scared to play the over.
Yeah, that's true. So, what about receiving props? T. Cherry says, been eyeing some tickets on Prop Swap. We do have the Prop Swap segment coming up. A little bit different flavor today than it was last week. Just going to showcase another aspect, the selling aspect of Prop Swap.
Yep.
So, receiving wise, got a lot of
guys here. What team do you want to start with first?
What team do you want to start with? I can do either one.
Let's do Eagles first.
Let's do Eagles. All right. So on the Eagles, Dallas Goedert over under 34.5. Devontae Smith over under 61.5. Jalen Reagor over under 42.5. Miles Sanders over under 21.5. Quez Watkins over under 29.5. Zach Ertz over under 18.5.
Oh, that's the Nick special right there.
Is this screaming Nick special?
Every time I see a tight end from like 16 to 25 yards, I'm like, Nick's going to play the over.
Oh, but only when there's one.
Okay,
Eagles
true.
have two, right? Like Dawson Knox was my guy
Yeah.
last year. Actually, I picked him up in fantasy. He scored the last 2 weeks.
Nice.
That's been nice.
Yeah, he hit that. He hit that range of number probably 5 out of 6 times. It was clockwork for him.
I do.
So
I was actually thinking a different Nick special here, which was just blanket bet every single player's under.
Oh, we're going super Nick special.
Yeah, that's like the super Nick special. Although I don't know that I actually like that here. But those are the two Nick specials.
How do you feel about Quez Watkins?
I was thinking the same thing. I kind of like Quez Watkins over.
Yeah, me too.
So I have Oh, go ahead.
Before you say that though, I feel like I need to get off this. I don't want to call it bad luck streak, but I've had a few questionable player props that I played receiver wise, and I hope this doesn't feel like another one of those with Watkins. But hopefully you have something here to make me not feel that way.
I'm gonna put you on blast for a second, Ben. With the Robert Woods. We had this discussion. I was on Stafford over passing yards. I let Ben talk me into Robert Woods receiving instead.
And you know what sucked about that whole thing is when we were doing the math and we're like, where are these yards going to come from? Or where are these yards
The answer
add
is
up for
Deshaun
Stafford?
Jackson. Apparently.
Deshaun Jackson. Yep. That hurt.
Also, I'm completely convinced now that Cooper Kupp. Side note: Cooper Kupp is the guy in that offense. So Stafford loves his slot receivers. We saw Danny Amendola thrive with Stafford. We saw Golden Tate racking up 130 targets a year with Calvin Johnson playing on the same team. Like, Stafford loves his slot receiver.
And Nick, I'm not just saying this, but after one game, you're like, all right, 2, it was still like, all right, but now 3, there's no denying it. But that was the time to make that decision, and unfortunately, I swayed you away. And
also, passing yard overs against Tampa every week.
Yeah. God, I think they've allowed over 1,000 yards in 3
Yeah, it's because
so
because their run defense is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so Quez Watkins sitting at 29.5, and the reason that I like this is the way that Dallas has defended the pass. Right? It's not the... Well, let me make sure I'm not going to say something stupid real quick. Yeah. It's not the big guy that has success against Dallas. Right? So we saw on Tampa who was successful. It was Antonio Brown and it was Chris Godwin. And who got shut out? Mike Evans got shut out.
And Gronk, I think, had... I know he's
well,
a tight
Gronk,
end,
yeah, tight ends are different. I'm talking receivers. Yeah. So it's the smaller, shiftier, deep threat guys as opposed to the possession receiver, red zone target type guy. Mm-hmm. Against LA last week, it was the same thing, right? It was Keenan Allen who had a ton of receiving yards, plus some stuff from the tight ends. And Mike Williams had a good game, but I think that Mike Williams is more... He's not like exactly like Evans. And I think Watkins, he got some looks last week. He caught some deep balls. He only needs one catch, really, to hit this 29.5. I think the Eagles are going to be in a position where they're going to be spreading the ball out a lot. I don't think it's going to be tons and tons of targets to a guy like Devontae Smith. So I think Quez Watkins is good. He's not my favorite one here, but this is another over that I was looking at.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite as far as receiving.
So you know who my favorite is? It's going to be Miles Sanders over 21.5 receiving yards.
Okay.
And the reason for that is Dallas has been very happy to allow check downs to the running back. So last week against LA, Austin Eckler, of course, is a great receiving back, but he had 9 targets, 9 catches, 61 yards. That's the highest he's had in all 3 categories this year, across 3 games. In week 1, we saw Leonard Fournette, 5 catches on 7 targets for 27 yards, plus Giovanni Bernard picked up another 2 catches and 3 targets. So we're looking at, including Justin Jackson last week for LA, 10 plus targets to running backs both weeks against Dallas. I know some of that is offensive scheme, but some of that is also a defensive scheme thing. Sanders is certainly a good pass catching back. He had a last week, or week 1 against Atlanta, 4 catches, 39 yards on 5 targets. Last week against San Francisco, it wasn't all that great. 2 targets, 1 catch, 4 yards. But I think he's going to be more along that week 1 stat line as opposed to the week 2 stat line.
I like the thinking there.
Also, model has him at 23.47 for what that's worth. I think he gets 5 targets today.
Nice. I like it.
Anybody on the Cowboys side that you are interested in? So to run down all of the lines, again, there's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I hate these.
I do too, because it almost feels like you're trying to pick the guy out of the group.
We've got Blake Jarwin, over under 24.5. Cedric Wilson, over under 24.5. CeeDee Lamb, over under 82.5. Dalton Schultz, over under 27.5. Ezekiel Elliott, over under 16.5. Tony Pollard, over under 22.5.
Yeah.
There we go. That's everybody. That's it. Short list.
Nick, this sounds so square of me, but I almost like CeeDee Lamb's over.
You like CeeDee Lamb's over?
Yeah.
Why do you like CeeDee Lamb's over?
They just try to force him the ball, it seems like. Like, he's had so many targets, but his target to catch ratio has to be one of the lowest. Like,
It's been good. In week 1, it was bad. In week 2, it was really good.
was it better in week 2?
Yeah, week 2, he had 8 catches on 9 targets. Week 1, he had 7 catches on 15 targets. Although CeeDee Lamb definitely does have a drop habit.
He does. But also, not only the drops, well, 2 of those in that week 1 game were definite drops. There was a third one that technically was a drop, but whatever. We'll call it a drop. But the point I was getting to is also, I think they just try to force him the ball sometimes. Like, there's been a few plays I can recall where Dak kind of throws to him in double coverage, and he makes the catches at times, but at the same time, I guess that was more week 1. But I guess my point stays the same. They definitely want to get him the ball, so I kind of lean over there.
Yeah, I'm a little iffy on this
I'm
one.
not going to be betting that, by the way. So just want to put that out there.
Yeah, this number feels high. I feel like he has to get 10 targets to hit this. That's totally possible, but I don't think it's a given, especially because I think that it is going to be a little bit more of a grinded out game as opposed to an air raid type shootout. But I'm a little sketched out by this number. Let's take a look at what the model says. Model has Lamb at 72.6. I was going to say, I think around 70 is where I'd put Lamb.
Yeah, 82 is high. But
yeah, that being so the Eagles against number 1 receivers. Wait, so does Lamb plays out of the slot or on the outside?
I mean, yeah, he does, but
He's kind of all over the place.
like, I mean, a number 1 receiver can still be a slot guy, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's different cornerback matchups is the difference.
It is. But more times than not, yes, unless they've
got a number 1 who plays shadow no matter.
Yeah, which you don't really see that unless it's like Sherman used to do that sometimes, but now with defenses they try to stay away from that just because it can put the team in like a susceptible situation. But anyways, yeah. you can more or less say it. That's the case.
That he's in the slot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so slot receivers against the
Cooper,
Eagles.
yeah.
Russell Gage, week 1. I mean, he's not as good as CeeDee Lamb, obviously. 2 targets, 0 catches. San Francisco, I don't even know exactly who their slot receiver is.
Yeah.
I mean, Trent Sherfield, maybe. It's not. I mean, no matter who it is, they sucked last week. Debo is the only guy who had more than 21 receiving yards last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit scared about CeeDee Lamb, and I'm also a little bit apprehensive about the tight ends here, actually. As anti-Nick Special as that may seem. Because not only did the inside receivers not have a lot of success against the Eagles, but tight ends also haven't had a whole lot of success thus far against the Eagles. So Kyle Pitts, I mean, he's kind of like a hybrid tight end / not tight end. He had 4 catches for 31 yards. Hayden Hurst, 4 catches for 28 yards, which is good for Hayden Hurst. But then George Kittle, 4 catches, 17 yards. I think that these guys are, I think fair to say, probably around as talented in like the Pitts range, current production-wise. So I'm not opposed to taking a Schultz under 27.5 and a Jarwin under 24.5. And just taking both and expecting at least one to hit as opposed to at least one. Or more likely that they both hit than they both missed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And you've had good success doing that in the past, so.
Yeah, do we like Goddard tonight? I think it's so hard to figure out where the Eagles are going to go with the ball.
Could be one play, man.
Mm-hmm.
The scary part about that.
Yeah, so I'm apprehensive.
Yeah, I don't love him. I don't hate him.
Yeah, that's why I like the Sanders, because I think plays that are going to go to the back are going to go to the back regardless of how many other good options you have. But with the receivers and the tight ends, it's very much give and take between them.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you'd like to look at here? Or you want to move
No.
on to touchdown props, our favorite?
Yep. I'm good to move on.
All right. So, highest guy, probably not so surprisingly, to score a touchdown is Ezekiel Elliott, sitting at minus 135. Other guys, you've got Lamb, plus 115, Cooper, plus with 115, Jalen Hurts, plus 125. So do you know what instantly jumps out at me here? Is the fact that we have a 3-point game, or a 3.5-point game, but the top 3 guys to score touchdowns are all on the Cowboys.
That is a little fishy.
It is. It's very fishy. So that means one of 2 things. Either, 1, the line for the Cowboys is bad.
And they're going to destroy the Eagles.
Or, 2, these guys are way overpriced.
They're overpriced, and maybe the Eagles guys are undervalued.
Potentially, yeah. Although I don't think the Eagles guys have particularly great value. So Hurts at plus 125, Miles Sanders at plus 140. You've got Tony Pollard plus 150. Devontae Smith plus 150, Dak plus 200, Gainwell plus 210. And there's like a whole host of guys in here in this like 200 to 400 range. Again, kind of like with the receiving props, there's just too many mouths to feed. Are a lot of these guys going to score? Probably. If we have a 27-24 game, that's 6 touchdowns to go around. So there's going to be a lot of guys who score. But it's like, who is it going to be? I don't know. I don't think the value's good enough.
Yeah, and Kenneth
Anyway.
Gainwell was the guy I was looking at, but he's only plus 225.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to stay away from that. I wish it was plus 300. I'd probably give it a stronger look, but oh well.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a look at the model here. So the model has Zeke at 0.7 touchdowns. So him being minus money, certainly not a good value. Lamb, again, not a good value. It actually really likes Quez Watkins to score, just because of that deep threat. I think that this 0.66 number is too high, that the model has. But Quez is coming in at you can't even find him. Where is he? I don't even see a touchdown prop for him on points, but that's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was looking at that earlier today, and I noticed that. That's kind of funny.
Here we go. The Superbook has it. Plus 320.
Not a bad number.
Not bad.
Right there.
I'd probably rather take the receiving yards than the touchdown prop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think, like always, we're gonna decide to stay away from touchdown props tonight. You agree?
Yeah. I wish there was some sneaky value, but
I wish they just gave us odds that made it so it was profitable for us and not them.
yeah, that'd be amazing.
That'd be the day. All right, so that wraps up the prop deep dive. If there's anybody else that you guys are interested in, just let us know in the comments and we can come back to it. But let's go ahead and give out our top picks for the day. So Ben, Monday Night Football, Eagles and Cowboys. What is your favorite bet of the day?
I am going to go with Quez Watkins over 29.5 receiving yards.
And I am going to go with Miles Sanders over 21.5 receiving yards. Interesting set there. Possibly negatively correlated, but I don't really think so. I don't think that they're taking targets from each other. I think we both like a game script then when the Eagles are going to have to be passing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that wraps up the game. Let's get into the prop swap segment. So last week with prop swap, what we did is we took a look at a bunch of different tickets that were on the market. We figured out which one we would like to buy to hold on to for the rest of the year, and which one of them we'd like to buy with the intention of putting it back on the prop swap market in a couple of weeks. Just letting it matriculate a little bit and squeeze some value out of it in that way. This week, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some potential futures bets that you could have placed at the beginning of the year, namely some Super Bowl future bets. And we're going to take a look and see, I guess, find a couple teams that we'd like to sell our Super Bowl futures for. So, Ben, what teams are we going to sell high on Super Bowl futures-wise?
So there are two in particular, and these are two teams that are 3-0, which for one of them, I would say most people did not expect them to be 3-0 based on their schedule. The other one, a little indifferent on because of how weak their schedule was, and the two teams are the Raiders and the Broncos. So I believe, Nick, we came to a consensus. Raiders were close to, was it 75 to 1?
I think we had Raiders best price at 70 to 1 preseason.
Yep, 70 to 1
to win the Super Bowl
this season.
And then the Broncos at 55 to 1 to win the Super Bowl before the season.
We have to remember that this was after the Aaron Rodgers news. So
yeah,
once that was a done deal for him not to come to Denver, we saw those odds go back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like with Bridgewater known to be the starting quarterback. This is the odds for that.
Yep.
So these days, again, the Broncos opened up at 55 to 1, currently sitting at 25 to 1 after their 3-0 start. So if you had $100 ticket on the Broncos at 55 to 1. The profit that you get if that ticket wins is $5,500. At the current price of 25 to 1, the value of your ticket is sitting at $220. So what that means is that at 25 to 1, you'd have to place a $220 bet to get the same profit as the $100 bet at 55 to 1. So what that tells us is if we're trying to sell this Broncos ticket on PropSwap, that the break-even price for the value of it is $220. So of course, if you price it at more than $220, you're not really going to have any buyers for the ticket because you can just go and place your own bet at your favorite sportsbook and get better odds. So, Ben, if you had this Broncos ticket and you think that the Broncos odds are going to move, what are you trying to sell this ticket for?
Yeah,
and
so
why?
first, what goes through my mind is, okay, they're playing the Ravens. They're sitting at 25 to 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
As of today. If they beat the Ravens, they're for sure moving to 20 to 1.
Yeah, at least.
At a minimum, right? And the way the league is sometimes, we can overreact. And Broncos starting 4-0, beating a really good Ravens team. Who knows? It could go to 18 to 1, maybe even 15 to 1. It sounds crazy, but depending on how they play, right? If they have a pretty good outing and dominant fashion, who knows? So as far as today, and keeping that in mind, I would say, I mean, you want to try to double up your original purchase. So I would say maybe like close to 200.
Yeah, I think in that $200 to $210 range, you find a nice middle spot where you're offering a good value to potential buyers on PropSwap. So you're going to have no issue actually selling your ticket. But at the same time, I mean, right, you've turned $100 into $200, and you can either sit on that $200, which is great. You've doubled your money. That's a nice profit. Or if in the future, like we're maybe expecting with the Broncos against the Ravens this week, if they lose and the Super Bowl odds drop back, say, to 30 to 1 or 35 to 1, you can take that $200 and then reinvest it in better priced Broncos Super Bowl odd tickets. So there's a couple different ways that you can use that money. But basically, we think that the Broncos have peaked a little bit as far as Super Bowl odds are concerned. Yeah. And is it safe to say it's the same deal with Vegas?
Yeah, that scenario is a tad different because they have beaten a quality opponent and the Ravens. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
But I mean, do we really think that? I don't know. It's I'm so split on it because before the season, I would never have flirted with that idea of the Raiders having a chance to win the Super Bowl. But they've looked decent, but they do have some injuries, and they're in a tough division. When they play the Chiefs and the Chargers, they're not gonna win all those games, right?
Yeah, and also
tough.
Important to note with the Raiders that 2 of their wins have come in overtime. Those are coin flip games. They could very easily be
coin flip games.
They could very easily be 1-2 right now. So coming into the season again, the Raiders were priced at 70 to 1. Current odds for the Raiders is 30 to 1 to win the Super Bowl, which means that if you had a $100 ticket from the preseason on the Raiders to win the Super Bowl, the value of that ticket now is about $233. So like the Broncos, if we think that the Raiders are a little bit overpriced here, we can take the same approach. We can look to sell this ticket for $215 to $220, and then just scaling it appropriately based on if you have a Raiders ticket, the value of like how much money you spent on that ticket, of course.
Yep.
But that puts us in a nice situation where we're guaranteeing ourselves a profit. And then we have either that profit to sit on, or we can then go back and reinvest in more tickets when the price comes back down a little bit.
Yeah, and taking a look at the odds for, and that's a Monday Night Football game, the Raiders and Chargers. Chargers are about 3.5-point favorites on the road, are the Raiders. So, something to think about there if you're holding on to a ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of that game, are you ready to hop into our first glance look at week 4 lines?
Yep. I am. I have a few that I'm already been eyeing a little bit.
Yeah, Ben, you gotta wait. This gotta be raw first impressions. I can't make you do that. I could tell you to do that a million times and you still wouldn't.
I know, it's too hard. But I can give you what the raw impressions were, just not in real time.
But my raw
know,
impression
I know.
was.
Yeah. Tell me about that first impression. Show me.
That's not what we're looking for. This is what we're looking. No, that's not what we're looking for. One second. Here we go. Okay, that's the right page. So Thursday night next week, we have a marquee matchup between the last 2 number 1 overall picks. We have Jacksonville going on the road to Cincinnati. Cincinnati favored by 7.5 at home. Total set at 45.5. Any first impression leans?
The lean here is Bengals are going to get slammed by the public. I
think you're right.
Jags dumpster fire right now.
They are a dumpster fire.
Yeah, Nick, if it wasn't for that field goal return to end the second quarter going into half, that they're up another 7. So just, tough going right now for the Jags.
Yeah, and the Bengals are sneakily good.
They are.
Like I think Joe Burrow is an excellent quarterback. Joe Mixon is an excellent running back. They've got talent on the offensive line. They have a ton of talent at wide receiver. And they've got a good opportunistic defense that is gonna force some turnovers on Trevor Lawrence. So I'm with you. I like the Bengals here. Or I don't. You said the public was on the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm not going to be betting this most likely unless the model says something else. But just as far as moving forward with the week, we're probably going to see a lot of action.
Yeah,
coming in on the Bengals.
I agree. So next up, we've got the Lions and the Bears. Bears at home favored by 3. Total set at 42.5. The Bears are a dumpster fire without Andy Dalton.
Yeah, and they just announced they potentially have a three-way race with Foles, Burrow, and Fields for the quarterback position on Sunday.
Foles, Dalton, and Fields. Yeah.
Oh, who did I say?
You said Burrow from the last game.
Oh, Dalton.
Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know how you can confidently play the Bears here, knowing that is still undecided. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's entirely dependent on Andy Dalton being in or out. If Dalton is in, I love the Bears here. If Dalton is out, I think I like the Lions quite a bit. Just Justin Fields, maybe he'll get there, but he's not there right now. Mm-hmm. He got sacked 9 times. I mean, some of that's on the offensive line, obviously. But you can't get sacked more times than you complete a pass.
Yeah, what a mess.
It's bad. Next up, Cleveland and Minnesota. Cleveland, 2-point favorites on the road. Total set at 53.5.
I think the public will be on the Browns here.
Well, what's that supposed to mean? Like, what are you on, Ben? Don't tell me what the public is on. Tell me what you're on.
But Nick, that's what everyone wants to know these days, man.
Yeah, we don't handicap for ourselves. We let people people stupider than us handicap, and then we do the opposite of what they do.
Well, and because the line's probably going to move. So
yeah, well, I'm not worried about line movement. What do you if this is the line? What do you like
right now?
Yeah,
Browns.
You like the Browns? I like the Browns too.
But it's probably going to move to -3. So.
Any thoughts on this
over
total?
under? Ugh, that's high.
It is. It's high, but it's two good offenses, and at least on the Vikings end, a leaky defense.
Yeah.
Although they did play well in the second half against the Seahawks yesterday.
Yeah.
It is a very high number. Speaking of high numbers, Buffalo and Houston. Holy. Buffalo -17. Over under set at 48.
It's wongable.
Wow.
Man, I don't know what to think about this one.
Yeah, this is
A
crazy.
lot of points.
It is a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's a lot of points. That's all I have to say about that one. I can't trust Houston if they call plays offensively the same way that they did last week. I mean, so they typically, like, you can either play to win or you can play not to lose. Houston was playing not to get their quarterback hurt. Like, that was their only objective.
That was such a conservative play style, like play calling style. Jeez.
Yeah, it wasn't even playing not to lose. It's like let's get to fourth down so we can punt the ball with no injuries. and if a team is not playing to win or to not lose, they're impossible to handicap.
Yeah.
So I need to see more from Houston coaching wise before I can be on any side of their game.
Agreed.
Indianapolis and Miami. Miami 1.5 point favorites at home. Over under set at 43. Colts all day.
Yeah. Are we just gonna fade Dolphins the rest of the year?
I'm very happy to keep fading the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I think
did
that
cover.
They did cover. I think that they were lucky to end up in OT. Mm-hmm. They had a defensive touchdown and then a last minute drive. Mm-hmm. I like Indy here. New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. Saints favored by 7.5 at home. Total set at 43.5. Did you say something?
7.5 seems a little. Well, I will say this: Giants plus 7.5 seems like the play here.
I kind of disagree.
Why is that?
Because the Giants have no wide receivers. I think Shepard is out for a long time, and Slayton is out too. The offense looked terrible without those guys. They have nobody. They have Galladay, but the Saints can put. His name is slipping my mind, but their corner Lattimore
Yeah.
on Galladay, and then Galladay's out of the game. And what, they're going to throw it to C.J. Board?
Evan Ingram.
I mean, yeah, Evan Ingram, who's also injured half the time.
Man. Jordan Reed 2.0, as I said.
Mm-hmm. But I again, as a big Daniel Dimes fan, I can't trust the Giants if he has nobody to throw to.
And it's funny because Daniel Jones still played pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think Daniel Jones has been playing quite well.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel bad for him.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for him too.
Kind of feels like a Sam Darnold situation.
It does, but I think he's better than Darnold. I think Darnold reminds me of like an Alex Smith type player. Extremely effective game manager. Will make the throws that you need, but he's not going to like take the game over. I think
kind of a hot take, Nick.
Well, Alex Smith is a very good quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. And Alex Smith also had similar struggles at the beginning of his career, just playing on bad teams. Took him several years to really break out. People were calling him a bust. And then finally, later in his career, everybody came around. That's the other part of the comparison. I think Jones has more upside than Arnold does.
That's fair.
But yeah, I as long as the guys on the Giants are out, the receivers, I kind of like the under here. I did say Darnold to Smith. That's what I meant to say. I might have misspoke.
Yeah, the under seems like a good play here.
Yeah, I really don't think that the Giants can score. And New Orleans, I don't really know if they can score either. I mean, they put up points against New England, but there was a defensive touchdown. There was another turnover that put them in the red zone. I don't think Jones is going to gift them the same way that Mac Jones did.
No.
Next up, Washington and Atlanta. Washington 1.5 point favorites on the road. Over under set at 48. This Falcons team doesn't make any sense to me.
They
Can
don't.
I just put that out there?
Yeah, and I have no clue what to think about this line.
No, neither do I. Next, Tennessee and the New York Jets. Tennessee only favored by 7.5 on the road. Over under set at 46. I mean, again, it's a 7.5 for a road team, but how can you not like Tennessee here? The Jets are bad.
Yeah, they are pretty bad.
They're bad, and they're not really showing signs of turning it around.
No.
Like
Offensively, they were terrible.
Yeah, it's not like they're a couple plays away. They're like
Larry,
a season
you're right.
away.
It's funny. We thought we got rid of Adam Gase, or they thought they got rid of Adam Gase there, and everything was going to be peachy, but
It wasn't the case.
no.
But yeah, I'd like Tennessee. Or maybe like a Titans team total. If you want to avoid playing the are the Jets going to finally turn it around game.
Yeah.
I mean, that team total's it can't be that high. What, like 24? Mm-hmm. You cut the two numbers in half and add them. 46.5 is 23, 7.5 in half. Oh yeah, it's going to be more than 24.
So what's Jets then?
It's going to be like 27.5 to 18.5 or something.
Yeah.
19.5. Yeah, 27.5, 19.5.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, the 27.5 doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah, it really doesn't, but
Especially
man,
with Derrick Henry at the end of the game. I mean, he's going to plow through them.
just run through them.
Mm-hmm.
Very possible.
Next game, we've got Arizona and the LA Rams. Rams at home favored by 6. Over under set at 54.5.
Man, I kind of like the value with the Cardinals here.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking. I mean, when I saw the teams, I was not thinking 6. I was thinking a lot less than 6.
I think this number creeps closer to 4 when it's all said and done.
I agree. I think that 4 feels pretty good. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on this total? 54.5.
Seems a little high.
I mean, but it also feels a little low.
Gotta see what the model says.
I think the model's going to like the over here.
Oh, I think it's gonna be under.
I think it's going to like the over.
All right, we'll find out.
Yeah, we will find out. Seahawks and Niners. Niners at home favored by 2.5. Over under set at 52. I kind of like Seattle.
Me too. Me too.
I think they're a little undervalued based on last week. San Francisco. I mean, it ended up being a close game, but I think that
really
Green
was,
Bay
though.
outplayed them for most of it.
Yeah. I don't think the game was as close.
Yeah, I agree. I like me some Seattle here. Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Green Bay at home favored by 6.5. Total 45.5.
Gosh, why do I like the Steelers here?
I don't like the Steelers here. I think Ben is a little toast.
Yeah, he is very burnt toast.
He's like both burnt and soggy.
I think if you like Packers, you better bet it now.
Yeah. What about an over here? Well, I guess it's kind of hard to trust Pittsburgh's offense.
I still
What about
like the
what about
over.
like a Packers team total over?
Yeah.
That's
I
got to
think
be in
it's-
like the 24, 25 range.
I think that the Steelers, well, they wouldn't just bench Big Ben, right?
I doubt it. I mean, maybe eventually. If we didn't have context, I would call out Larry for calling you out. He said Ben is done. Ben, are you done?
What do you mean? Oh, like
He was talking about
stream?
Ben Roethlisberger, but
oh
I could easily misconstrue it.
yeah. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm done?
You're done.
Did you see that clip of Big Ben like rolling out?
No, I missed it. What happened?
And
Can
he
you
literally
give us
just
a reenactment?
He just tripped on himself and
Oh.
threw the ball into the ground.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that offense, but I kind of like the over though. If they can put up like 20 points, that's flying over.
I mean, even if they put up 15, I think it goes over.
Steelers' worst rushing team in the NFL. I thought that's why they got Harris to fix that, but then they don't even run, right?
Yeah, because they're behind.
That whole plan backfired.
You don't draft running backs in the first round. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you like do have a good team, it's not because of the running back.
We got Javante Williams, second round. Great
Yeah.
pickup.
Yeah, I mean it's about the line, right? It's not about the back themselves.
Yep.
Ravens and Broncos.
Hoo. This is a
Ooh.
2.5 was way too high where it opened at, and I already texted a few people. They're like, Broncos favorites, and I said it's gonna end up a pick 'em.
Yeah, and remember, Ben is a Broncos fan. I am a Ravens fan. This is going to
be an
be
interesting one.
yeah, it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, we might have to come up with a friendly wager. Friendly, Nick.
Friendly wager.
Friendly.
What would an unfriendly wager entail?
It's a good question.
We can't say that on stream.
I was gonna say we involve the dogs.
Loser has to give their dogs to the pound
Yep, for a day.
forever. Just
That would
kidding.
be-
Here, how about this? The winner and the loser both have to pet their dogs a lot because the dogs deserve it because they're good dogs.
I mean, they're gonna get that either way. So
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said the winner and the loser both have to do that.
Marcus Peters is hurt,
Yeah,
but
Ravens D is a little suspect.
yeah, but
Broncos are now missing 2 wide receivers,
yeah,
which is important. KJ Hamler announced torn ACL, out for the year.
that sucks.
Yeah, and I think the Ravens, they had a couple players on the COVID list this week, so they should be back next week. Like I know Brandon Williams was out, but I think that they're going to be back. They lost a couple not super important players, but rotation pieces in the game last week to in-game injuries. But we'll have to see if they're going to be back or not. But I think the Ravens do have good depth defensively, so I don't think that those guys are huge losses. Tampa and New England. The
This is
game.
gonna be the game of the century.
Yeah, am I crazy to say that I think it's a crime that Tampa's only -6.5?
No,
Mac Jones is going to get destroyed by this defense.
yeah,
He's going to have to throw the ball because you can't run on Tampa, and it's just not going to work.
you know what I like in this one, Nick?
What do you like?
I like the under.
You like the under? I don't really like the under.
You know why I like it?
Why?
This is totally inflated.
Yeah, I think if you like the under, you have to bet New England team total under. Because Tampa's going to score. Tampa could score 49 by themselves.
Yeah, but Patriots defense is. Let's see, Bucks have gone up against. I guess the Rams. They still put up what? 24 on the Rams.
Something like that.
Yeah, Yeah, I'll have to look more into that. But yeah.
Yeah, I Brady, like Larry said, Brady is gonna let loose. There's gonna be no holding back. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football, week from today. Raiders and Chargers. Chargers 3.5-point favorites at home. Over/under set at 52.5.
This number is going to go up to, I think, 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it did either.
Yeah. So
I think Chargers at 3.5 look pretty good.
absolutely.
Again, it's 3.5 is scary this year, but I think I do think that that's more of a coincidence than anything else.
Yeah.
So one thing that worries me is that we were talking about coaching before with the Jets. I'm worried that the Chargers replaced Anthony Lynn with Anthony Lynn.
I hope. Well,
Because I mean, it's not as bad as Anthony Lynn, but they've made some clock management, blatant mistakes. They keep making the same mistakes on offense, picking up offensive penalties, which I think are coaching things. Those like illegal shift penalties that they keep getting that are negating their touchdowns. I think that's a coaching thing.
yeah. Yeah, over is my lean here, actually.
Yeah, it's a high number at 52.5. But I think if the Chargers can fix some of those mistakes, their overs are going to be a great value for a couple weeks.
So should I make the announcement for Sunday?
Yeah, I forgot about that, but go ahead.
I know I did too until I think someone said it. They said, "What's the surprise for Sunday?" And I was like, "I don't know what team it is going to be this week." And I'm like, "Oh, the surprise." So, anyways,
yeah, I read that comment and I forgot
yes,
also.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we are going to partner up with Betfred on Sunday at the Broncos game at their beer tent that they have outside the stadium. And I think what we'll be doing, and we're going to iron out the exact details throughout the next few days, but we'll basically be doing, I think, the live stream, the Sunday morning live stream, potentially part of it from there, and then also a stream from probably 11 to 1 Mountain Time, so 1 to 3 Eastern during the early games. And I think we're gonna plan on doing ask like the audience members questions. It's gonna be interactive. We'll probably do some prizes, but it's gonna be really fun. There's gonna be a lot of different types of content that we do during the stream, and I think there's gonna be some giveaways too. So it's gonna be really fun, and I'm looking forward to it.
yeah. Still have to iron out all of the exact details, but it's gonna be a good time. I'm still gonna be at my apartment, but Ben will be there at the game. So if you're there, make sure to stop by the Betfred tent and say hi to Ben.
I know we have a
Show your face on stream.
yeah. You can't hide behind forgot my password.
I know we have a lot of Denver people in here.
Yep.
So
I went on Sunday and checked it out. It's pretty cool. I'll share some photos in the Discord, but it's a pretty sweet setup. They have all the screens on the wall for the games. And then I think what we'll do is we'll probably have something where we ask people in the tent, what their best bet is of the day, or we might do like a giveaway for it might have to be a Broncos game, but that's fine. For those who aren't in the actual tent, but we'll probably do like guess the score of the Broncos game or something along those lines. So there'll be ways to win if you're not actually attending in person.
Yeah, kind of like what we did with the Super Bowl, where we have various game prop and score type guessing stuff, and whoever's the closest, aka T Cherry, because I think he won twice.
I know T Cherry he cleaned up.
T Cherry did in fact clean up.
Yeah, I was like, who is this guy?
But yeah, Larry says get out a little bit, Nick. Larry, if I got out, the stream wouldn't work.
I know.
I'm here for you.
We were discussing that, but then, I mean, Nick, if we could try it,
I mean,
then you would have to bring the computer,
lug my desktop.
beer, and someone spills beer on the desktop and the Sims blow up.
Yeah. Also, football absurdity rating with a party of 7. Thank you for that. I think that was not something that was on my radar, so we don't have an alert set up for that. But what that means is Football Absurdity was streaming and has now closed their stream, and they have decided to send all of their viewers over to us. So we appreciate that very much. Yeah, Twitch is cool. So everybody, make sure you go check out Football Absurdity's channel. I'll have to go check it out as well. But quick rundown of what we do. So Capwise is a betting startup that Ben and I run and operate. Our thing is, I guess what the statement says, combining computer simulation models and human opinions for sports betting. So I have a lot of experience in the computer modeling side of things. I have a graduate degree in statistics. I've done a lot of academic level research work in sports analytics. So bring that to the sports betting side of things. Ben and I both huge sports fans. I mean, Ben, for several years before I met him, had been running Capwise just as a more classic style handicapper. So we think that
the future is here.
Yeah. And we think that
data. If you're not capping with data to some extent, you're going into a battle without your weaponry. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. So we just take those things together and try and put out picks that win more than they lose, because that's how you get to keep sports betting.
Yep.
Also, Evan, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thanks for checking us out. Stream schedule looks like this. It's Ben and I doing NFL streams Monday night before the Monday night games, Thursday night before the Thursday night games, and Sundays in the morning before the Sunday morning slate of games. And then throughout the week on Tuesday and on Friday and Saturday, Ben is on doing college football streams with various other guests.
Yep.
So yeah,
appreciate it, man.
Yep. We're getting ready to wrap up ourselves because the game's starting in a couple minutes. But we can do quick rundown of what we covered.
I was just going to ask if we wanted to do that to another channel. Do you know how to do that? I'm just curious.
I'm sure I could figure it out pretty quickly.
That's kind of cool. So
yeah,
maybe
it
another
is.
time we'll...
Actually, yeah, we should start taking advantage of that.
Yeah, because it's.
Although I'm assuming everybody probably stops streaming at basically the same time, aka when the games are going to start.
That's a good point.
But yeah, we'll do it anyways.
Nick, you know what we can do since I lied to everyone last week? On Thursday, not this Thursday, but the next Thursday, I believe, the game is on Twitch for sure.
Yes.
So we could just say, hey, go watch the game.
Yeah, we'll raid twitch.tv/NFL.
Do they have to allow the raid? I mean, I guess
no.
If it's open, right?
You could probably opt out, but I'm not going to opt out.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Twitch is
Twitch
is cool. Like
I mean, I love Twitch. I'm a consumer of the video gaming side of Twitch just in my free time. So that's why we're here.
There's a switch to opt out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah. So, there's like a troll raid. It's like everyone shows up.
Yeah. Well, it actually kind of can. Well, I guess for bigger streamers, you can get like so and so is raiding with one viewer. It's just like themselves.
Oh yeah.
And
that's
then
funny.
That'll take up all the notifications on the screen. But yeah, appreciate y'all showing up and checking it out. So Ben, let's give a last-minute rundown of
Yeah.
tonight's game.
Quez Watkins, that is at 29.5 receiving yards. Hopefully it didn't move in the last 30 minutes, but that is my favorite play of the night.
Yep, and then my favorite play of the night was Miles Sanders over 21.5 receiving yards. Basically, both of those boiling down to the fact that the Cowboys are going to do a good job handling Smith, and some secondary options are going to play a big role in the passing game. Those guys, pretty low numbers, so we like the spots for them.
And Nick, real quick, drop the Discord.
Drop
Evan.
the Discord. Oh, that's a good idea.
Or anyone else, of course, but I think Evan will like it.
Mm-hmm. There it is. We have a Discord. It's completely free and open and all that jazz.
Yep.
Check that out.
Alrighty, I am going to watch this game and hopefully watch these bets win. So
Yeah. So thank you, as always, for joining us, and a special thank you to Football Absurdity for the raid. We'll have to return that favor once I figure out how to actually do that.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, see you all, I guess, tomorrow.
Alrighty, guys, see ya.
See ya.